Hello everybody and welcome back to Piano Practice Partner. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be learning a brand new scale, the F major scale. But before we delve into that, we're going to take a quick recap of last week's lesson in which we were learning a new song, Sunny, by Bobby Hebb, but it's been covered by many different artists. Boney M made it very popular, if you know them. So what we were doing, we were just employing lots of different 2-5-1s, which we've been learning together and then drilling in our practice along sessions over the past couple of months. So we had this A minor chord with a passing note down to this G minor, and we did a 2-5-1 here. It's 2-5-1 of F major. Then we went into our 2-5-1 of the A minor that we played at the top. There we are, back at the A minor. So very quickly, combining a 2-5-1 that we had already learned and a new 2-5-1 and smushing them together with the use of this passing note and also an extra chord later on in the song. We learned a brand new song in a minute. It's incredible. Rather than by rote learning the chords individually, just knowing that we have to go, okay, 2-5-1 here, and then a 2-5-1 here. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so you don't miss a lesson and you can keep progressing forward. So altogether that sounded like this. And in the practice along session for that lesson, we broke down the inversions that we were using to make our life a little bit easier. And it seems to be that we're discovering a handy little knack of moving the top two fingers down and then the bottom two fingers down when we're using sevenths and ninths. So if that doesn't make sense, maybe go back and have a look at that video lesson and also the other lessons on the 2-5-1s. And within that practice along, we also figured out a new inversion that meant that we didn't have to jump from this 2-5-1 in F major up to this 2-5-1 in A minor. We could keep everything grouped here. So that looked like this. Same notes, same chords, just a different cluster, a different inversion. So instead of now jumping up from here to here, we quite easily went. And again, it's that top two fingers, bottom two fingers. So that sounded altogether like this. Fantastic. So that's what we focused on last week. Today, we're going to look at the F major scale. It's very important that we know all of our scales. And so far, we've looked at the F blues scale and we've looked at the C major scale and some of the A minor, but we haven't really spent any dedicated time going over the building blocks of this instrument, which is fundamentally the scales. So if you remember way back to our first ever lessons together, we learnt the C major scale. All white notes. The F major scale has one black note. It has this A sharp. So for clarity's sake, I'll call out the notes as I play them. The F major scale consists of F, G, A sharp, C, D, E, and F. And then going down the scale, F, E, D, C, A sharp, A, G, F. There we go. So we have this one black note, and you'll notice that we skip over this B here to the C. So there's no B in this scale. You'll probably notice that within that first demonstration, I was using my hand very incorrectly. So in the same way that we learnt the C major scale, with this thumb crossing over here, and then crossing over again here to make the playing up and down the scale nice and fluid for ourselves, let's arrange our fingers so that we can play the F major scale in the same vein. So here, if you remember, we've got our hand labeled as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So in our right hand, 1 is the thumb, 5 is the pinky. We're going to play up the scale, those notes, with 1, 2, 3, 4, then crossing over the thumb, 1, 2, 3, 4. Back down the scale, 4, 3, 2, 1, crossing over, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll do that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, crossing under the thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back down. 4, 3, 2, 1, crossing over. 4, 3, 2, 1. So with a bit more speed, that sounds like this. There we go. In case this is a little tricky to encode, going up to that A sharp, let's think of it in a different way. Do you remember how we figured out the major scale for any scale? It was by combining a series of whole notes and half notes. To refresh our memories, first of all, what is a whole note and what is a half note? So a half note is a note that has an immediate step between it. So this C to C sharp is a half note because chromatically we're going up to the next immediate note. If we go up again from the C sharp to D, from C sharp to D, that is still a half note because it's the next immediate note. However, this C to D is a whole note because there is a note between them. Whole note, half note. So when we get to the E and the F, this is a half note because nothing between the two of these white notes. So E to F is a half note. This would be a whole note because we've got the E between them. And again, the B to C here, nothing between them. That's a half note. So this is the formula for figuring out any major scale. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So with the C major scale for ease and clarity, C to D, whole, D to E, whole, E to F, half, F to G, whole, G to A to B, whole, B to C, half. So now let's apply that to F major and see if we can get the same result. So we start with the whole note, so F, then the whole note is G, another whole, so G to A, now a half step, so we're going immediately up. There we go. And another whole, so that's why we skip the B here to C. Another whole, and then a half step. Look at that, magic. So just by knowing this, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, and just taking some time to figure out where it's a whole and where it's a half, you can apply that to any note. You can start, let's just pick one. Let's go for that. What is that? That is a G sharp. So G sharp major. So let's try and figure out a G sharp major just to prove this to ourselves. Whole note. There we go. Another whole. Half. Whole. 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 Half. There we go. That is G sharp major. And that wasn't pre-planned. That wasn't me rehearsing. I've never played that scale before in my life. It's just by looking at this and figuring out where they are. So really handy to know. Anyway, let's come back to F major. We've looked at it with the right hand. Let's look at the left hand. What happens here? So the notes are the same. But the arrangement of the fingers is slightly different. Again, working from left to right. Our pinky is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, crossing over 3, 4, 5. And the way back down would be 5, 4, 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, crossing over 3, 4, 5. Going back down, 5, 4, 3, crossing under, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So with a bit more speed, that sounds and looks like this. Fantastic. So now comes the tricky part, combining both hands together. We had this with the C major. It's exactly the same thing, but just instead of sticking on these white notes, we're just shifting up to this new black note. So the hands will shift at different points. So it doesn't matter how slow we go, but we just have to concentrate and focus on when one hand shifts and then the other shifts just behind it. So that looks like this. The right hand shifting, now the left hand shifting. Back down. Left hand shifts first, then right hand. So they're just one step out of sequence. You see that? I'll go really slowly. Right hand shifts here, and then left hand shifts here. Left hand shifts, then right hand shifts. What's really handy here, and helps me, is the thumbs both land on the C at the same time. So we can just go up to that point. Right hand shifts, landing here. That's our first safe position. And then from there, we're just carrying up with our right hand, so that's taken care of. So it's our left hand now that shifts. And the same on the way down, the thumbs land on C at the same time. So left hand shifts, thumbs on C, nice and safe. Now the next bit, the right hand shifts over. So when we take it nice and slowly and think about the transition points, it's okay. It's not too difficult. We've done this with the C major, so it should be within our comfort zone. But instead of shifting straight up to the next note, we're having to do this little step up. But try and find the fluidity there. Enjoy that little rise to then move back down. Rise, down. And then when we get more confident, we can just build up the speed, but aiming always for consistency. We don't want that at the end, stumbling. If it gets too much, take it down in tempo again and build up. And again, work those transition points. So if we get stuck when we're moving over, it's fine to go transition here. Okay, take a mini breather and then figure out what you're doing next. There we have it. So we've got our F major scale in both hands there. That's fantastic. So now, to help drill these scales so they become second nature to us, it'd be really useful to move between the C major scale that we know and hopefully have under our belt and fingers. Play that a few times. And then what happens when we go up to F major? Ooh, little slip there. So I'm going to have to take the tempo down just to make sure I understand what I'm doing before I rush ahead. Remember, don't run before you can walk. Now back down to C. And then let's challenge ourselves. Let's see if we can move from one up, one down of the C major scale, and then one up, one down of the F major scale, to see if we can switch quickly. Let's see what happens. Hey, there we go. It's really fun. It's nice to build some dexterity and fluidity within the fingers, but also understand that this applies to all the major scales. It's really, really handy because now I don't feel like I'm having to memorize individual notes every time. And the transition between this C major scale, no black notes, to now a very manageable one black note. It is going to get harder, we know. But as we demonstrate to ourselves with this G sharp major that we just figured out by using this, it's okay. This feels like a less scary prospect. So that's it for today's lesson. We've learnt the F major scale in both hands. In next week's practice along session, we'll be drilling down and setting this trusty timer for ourselves and making sure we get some reps in so it gets nicely under the fingers, nicely into the muscle memory. So I hope to see you there for some dedicated practice time. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what your wins of the week are, what you would like to learn in the future, and where you're learning from. But in the meantime, happy practicing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.